Hi, I'm Michele, author of the Boreal Gourmet cookbook and the Boreal Chef quarterly cooking column in Yukon North of Ordinary magazine. I'm standing here in the boreal forest beside one of the most beautiful plants in the forest, the wild prickly rose. Today we're going to talk about the rose, how to pick it, when to pick it, and finally the delicious things that you can make with the rose when you bring it back home to your kitchen. It generally comes into season right about now, which is mid to late June. Its distribution is pretty much throughout the northern boreal forest. There's a way to pick the petals, very important. You grasp the whole flower by the stem and bunch your fingers and pull so that you leave the stamen and the pistils behind, which means that number one, there will be a rose hip in the fall, and number two, the bees can continue to pollinate. Don't ever pick all of the roses from one bush. Leave a few roses on the bush behind so that the bees have a landing spot. Here we are back in the kitchen and we've got our rose petals. Then what I tend to do is put it out on a baking sheet on a piece of parchment paper and just put it in a room that doesn't get a whole lot of light, where there's good circulation. And now we are going to use some rose petals to make rose petal meringues. So you need to be really careful not to let the egg yolk go into the whites, because it's kind of, egg yolks are hell on egg whites frothing up properly. We can pour them in and start the beating process. What we're doing right now is making the rose petal sugar. And the rose petal sugar is essentially equal parts rose petals and granulated sugar. And grind it up in the grinder. You can also do this in a mortar and pestle, but it's important to do the sugar and the rose petals together because the granulated sugar helps to grind up the rose petals. And essentially, you want the rose petals to be kind of powdered and pink. I'm going to add now the rest of the sugar required for this recipe. Next, I'm going to measure out a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. This is to help the egg whites stiffen up. I'm just getting this ready to add at the right time, and I'm now going to start whipping the eggs. So that's been beating for about a minute, and it's now time to add the cream of tartar and the great secret of really excellent tasting rose petal meringues, rose water. It just picks up on the rose petal flavor and accentuates it and helps the flavor last. Now I'm going to start adding the sugar a tablespoon at a time. This is critical. Add the sugar slowly. There's nothing that wrecks a meringue mixture more quickly than dumping the sugar in all at once because you get impatient. Okay, check this out. See how stiff that is? At this point, I'm going to stuff a pastry bag with the meringue mixture. Now, if you don't have a pastry bag, do this with a little plastic sandwich baggie, and you just snip a hole in the corner, and it works equally well. These are really nice tea party cookies, which you can haul out at any time of the year. There we are, ready to go into the oven. We've waited the very important 15 minutes or so before taking the meringues out of the oven. All right, not too bad. So here we are, a lovely little plate full of rose petal meringues with a whole lot more in the oven. For the complete recipe, go to borealgourmet.com or check the summer issue of Yukon North of Ordinary magazine. And remember, always cook meringues slowly at low heat. I'm Michele, the Boreal Gourmet.